Hello, all of you beautiful people watching this video. Ethan Hammond of EH Mobility here to talk to you about how to better increase your quality of life, how to live more pain-free, how to have more range of motion, have more confidence in your ability to perform athletically, and how to rehab any chronic pain, any chronic athletic injuries that you get, and how to prehab them. So how do we prevent them from ever happening in the first place? How do we do that? We do that with increased awareness of our own mobility, learning how do I increase my mobility, that is my ability to accomplish work through a range of motion in a way that's not going to harm my ability to move, my ability to exist and live, either short-term or long-term. And there's your amazing explanation of what mobility is. Now, today, we are going to be discussing how do I increase my hip range of motion in terms of external rotation. So how do I better increase my ability to take my knees out and create rotation in my hips? This is going to be super important if we're doing something like squatting. So if you ever sit down and stand up, this is important for you. If you ever perform a squat in the gym, this is important for you. If you ever jump and land, this is important for you. If you ever go up stairs or ladders, this is extremely important for you. If you're a runner, you get the idea. You're going to want to be able to perform with this rotary ability in your hips. So I did a video recently talking about why this is important. You can go check that one out. But to recap briefly, what we're talking about here is that, let's say, for example, I'm going to be running. Not running. Let's take an example of squatting. That'll be a little bit easier for a still video as I don't have anyone holding my camera at the moment. When I'm squatting, if I don't create a particular type of tension in my legs and in my hips, as my body weight gets heavier, whether that's derived from a barbell or something on my shoulders, or my legs just become weaker over the decades, what's going to happen is that my legs are going to have a tendency to collapse inward as I squat. Now, we know this is a wretched position because it both makes you weaker and it also makes you less safe. And that's not okay. We're here to optimize our athletic capacities. Now, if I'm doing a body weight movement, say I'm just running, lunging, squatting, just with my body weight, no external load added to me, then when I'm moving, let's imagine my feet are straight, because they should be. I want my knees basically tracking over my toes. That's a really super common cue. Track your knees over your toes. But as the weight increases, as the load increases, as the fatigue, the speed, the power, the endurance, as any of those attributes of fitness increases, and you get more tired, you get more worn out, you are also going to have a tendency to let those knees come inward. So what we need to be enforcing in people is a slight drive outward with the knees. What this does is it helps to engage what are called your external rotators in your hips. This is basically your rotator cuff for your butt. So we have the rotator cuff up and around the shoulder. That helps to raise and rotate my arm out. That's how I create stability. Say if I'm doing pull-ups or push-ups or pressing overhead, or anything to do with my arms really. And then with my hips, I have this entire dedicated series of muscles whose whole purpose is to spin the femurs outward and to create more stability and power and strength. So we're going to go through a handful of drills that you can do in order to increase both your range of motion and your strength, your power. What that means is that as we increase the weight on our backs or however much we're holding, wherever we're holding it, I'll be able to more appropriately shove my knees out to counter that extra weight. Does that make sense? So as the weight increases, I'm going to have a stronger tendency to clasp my knees because those muscles might not be strong enough to shove my knees out. And if I lose that, then I lose stability. It's going to be easier to bend the lower back because it's not going to be as strong and stable. So first thing we're going to do, one of the most important tools in your mobility toolkit, your generalized exercise band, not like the surgical hose kind of band though, the nice flat one that typically see in the CrossFit gym. I'm going to take this to my squat rig or whatever stable, strong structure that you have. From there, it's going to be at hip height. And what I'm going to start off with doing, and key bit of advice is super important, especially for getting people to realize what kind of changes that they're really making, as well as understanding is that specific drill actually working for me? Don't be afraid to play around and say, that's not really working for me. I'm not going to waste any more time doing it. So what I'm doing, I'm taking the band onto one leg, and I'm going to come out to a lunge. And so I'm going to be doing all of this work entirely on my left leg. So for you at home, do both sides, but do one side at a time so you can really see the change, and you can compare both legs side to side at the end of all of this and see really what's going on and what kind of changes you're making in your body. So I'm coming out, I have the band as high as close to my groin as is comfortable, and I'm just going to come to this lunge. I squeeze my butt, I'm just trying to take my hips forward, and once I'm as far as my back hip will let me, I'm just going to be kind of gently rotating my leg and my back hip around. Just getting all those nasty little corners of my quads, of the front of my thigh, my hip flexors. If I just simply stand here and sit here statically, there's basically one line of, like a stretching sensation. When I move side to side gently and slowly, I'm going to transfer that over the whole front half of my thigh, so you get a lot more done when you create some slow movement like that. I'm going to be doing 2 minutes per side of this, just simply holding it there and rotating, 2 minutes per leg. This isn't about getting as much work done in as short a time as possible. This is about getting some serious work and getting some serious change in your body. And you need a little bit more time when you're trying to affect real change, trying to create real change. It can't be rushed. You don't move quickly through it. You take your time and you focus on one thing at a time. It's super important. I can't stress that enough. So after 2 minutes working on that one leg, we are then going to come out of that, and now I'm going to focus on some really generalized kind of warm-up drill. You see this regardless of your sport, really. And this is just taking one knee up and taking it out as far as possible. And for this, you can go on one leg and just practice on one side at a time. For the sake of the video and how I'm just showing one leg at a time, I'll just do my left leg here. And I'm just trying to create as much rotation as possible. So I'm taking my knee up as high as I can. Haters come on, sorry for the background sound. And then taking it out to the side. Try to keep your hips squared if possible. Next thing after that. So that, just go for a handful of reps, just until your hips feel nice and loose. Next bit after that, I'm gonna sit down on my buttocks. From here, I'm going to take my feet. They're not quite into my butt, but they're out here, and they're wide. And from here, I'm going to kind of rotate and let one knee drop in as far as I can comfortably go, and then swap legs. And again, I'm going to be going for about 2 whole minutes like this. That might seem daunting, but it's only daunting if you're accustomed to rushing through things. This is mobility work. This is about creating change in your body, creating more effective patterns of movement, creating resistance against injuries, and eliminating chronic pain. And that's not something that you rush. You gotta take time to create actual changes in your nervous system and your muscles, your fascia, all that good stuff in there. It takes time to change. If you spend 10 seconds on a mobility drill and then just move on to the next and move on to the next, you're wasting your time. So we're looking for about 2 minutes in that position. Next up, we're going to take 2 minutes again. First off, let's take our band off the rig. Band off the rig. I'm going to lay down here. I'm going to take my band around my foot. And from here, you know what? This is how I was going to do this with my left leg. Let's get that one up. So I'm putting the band around my left leg. And I'm going to lay back and pull my leg up. Ideally, I want to go straight up and down. So about a 90-degree angle in my legs here. I want my up heel facing up to the ceiling, facing up to the sky. Now from here, my intention here is to keep my hips, keep both cheeks, butt cheeks, on the floor. Don't let your hips rise in either direction. And what I'm going to do here is slowly and with a lot of control, get my leg moving to the outside. So when you do this, you'll feel a nice deep stretch on the corner of your butt. That's where your external rotators are. That's those muscles that I referred to earlier. And then I just want to spend a couple seconds on one side, and then I'm going to move on to the other side, trying to get the side of my foot to the floor. still keeping that 90-degree angle, and I still want to keep the opposite side buttocks on the floor. If you start to feel a cramp on the other leg, on the other hip, then what you do is you take your foot and you point it towards the inside. That'll help to create some tension, create some slack there. Create the opposite of tension. And again, I'm just spending about 5 seconds per side, and I'm just going to alternate side to side. And I'm going to keep doing that for a good 2 minutes. 2 minutes is kind of our ideal time period for creating change. So next up, I'm going to grab my band again. I'm a fan of bands. Bands are awesome if you know how to use them well. You have like TheraBands, which are pretty common in yoga and Pilates and other exercise systems, but you just need a band that's short. What I mean by is that if you have a band like this, you can twist one side and then bring the ends together to cut it in half. You want a band that's a little bit more like that size. What I'm going to do is take it up around my knees. So it's going to be, so there are my kneecaps. The band is right above my knees, just like an inch on top of my kneecaps. From here, we got several drills that we can do. So we're getting to the strength work. What we did previously is some warm-up stuff you can do to help prime your hips and get them accustomed to, hey, we're about to start moving. Let's start to get engaged. And now this is the serious engagement strength work. Are you with me on this? We call these monster squats. So band is up around the knees, just above it. I'm going to take my stance out wide enough that the band is already pulling my knees in. Now, of course, we want to avoid this position as much as we can. But, or rather so, I need to be constantly pushing my knees out. And get here, squeeze your butt, squeeze your belly, get your spine neutral, and then take your hips back and down. Now, I've got to continuously press my knees out. If I lose strength there, my knees are going to collapse. So I've got to be continuously forcing it out. And you are going to feel this like crazy in the sides of your hips and in your bottom. So your external rotators are really working. This is some pretty heavy-duty strength work that is specifically targeting the muscles meant to create that rotation and keep your hips stable and powerful. So let's say, typical rep range for exercises, 3 sets of 10 will be pretty great, and it will light your ass on fire. So we're going for about 10 reps like that. Afterwards, we're going to do pretty much the same thing, but, say I'll get to the side, instead of squatting for reps, I'm going to squat and hold, and I'm going to walk with very small steps out to the side. So this is kind of we called the previous one a monster squat. This is like a sideways monster walk. And I can, of course, go, 10 reps, 10 steps one side, 10 steps to the other. And then after that, we're going to do the same thing, but going forward and backwards. So again, I can think about 10 steps back, 10 steps forward. You tracking me on that? Okay? Next bit, we're going to keep using the band. We're going to use the band for all the strength work. I'm going to put it back on the squat ring, or whatever it is that you have that is stable. This is going to go down to ankle height. I'm going to put this around my ankle. Please wear socks. If you put this on bare skin, it can be quite uncomfortable. If you have hairy legs, it will rip the hair out. Just be wary of that. A couple of things I can do here. Number one, I can go for either isometrics or I can go for movement. We're going to start off with isometrics. I'm going to start off by just simply holding my body here and the banded leg. I'm going to pull and hold in front of me. So it's a little bit of a balancing act. Don't let this back leg that's holding you up fall inward. Keep that pushing out and keep the banded leg pulling in. And just try and hold that for about 10 to 30 seconds. You're going to do this on both legs. We can then flip around and do the exact same thing, but now I'm pulling my leg out and holding. Try and not move the leg at all for about 10 to 30 seconds and see how that goes. We can then include movement with the same exercise. So instead of just holding it there, let's think about pulling our feet together. So I got to be out far enough that my leg's already on tension. Squeeze your bottom, squeeze your belly, keep it firm, and then pull your heels together. And let's see how many reps you can get with that. Let's say 10 to 30. And do the same thing on the other side. This is a little bit harder. You might want to have something to hold on to for definite on this. My legs will start crossed. kind of like I gotta pee and I'm pulling it in like crazy, and then pull my heel out as much as I can. This is hard to do, but I'm just moving as far as I can out to the side, getting as much range of motion as I possibly can. So those are your basic drills for strengthening and increasing your range of motion for creating more rotation. And once you're finished with a lot of that, take your legs in a mirror and see if you can see if there's any change in how far you can shove one knee out. So if I'm pushing my legs out as far as I can, I think you can kind of see a difference on my legs, but assume I'm lying and go test it out for yourself and see what else, see how much range of motion that you got for yourself there and what kind of changes you can do. Something I highly recommend you do is do one drill at a time when you first start off, and then check your range of motion each time. So get your knees where you can see them and create rotation. Keep your feet straight and just rotate your knees out. See how far they can go after each drill. That'll help you eliminate and say, okay, this drill isn't really working for me, stop doing it. And that's about it. If you have any questions about that, please let me know. And if you, or rather when you start doing these exercises, let me know how it goes. Let me know how many cramps you get inside of your buttocks, because that happens a lot. Be wary of that. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to comment below. And I will see you lovely people next time. Take care.